Sound on. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jason Levine, and thank you so much for joining me today on the Friday Video Masterclass. It has been a minute, or 7 weeks approximately. I've been on sabbatical, and it is so lovely to see so many of you back here joining me today, barring my little minor slight techie glitch right there. Anyway, it is just lovely to be back here on the stream, to see you all. It was a really fantastic 2 months off, very, very enlightening, very inspiring. And, I've gotten a lot of questions from people since returning, like, oh, what did you do? What project did you do? Where did you go? Blah, blah, blah. And the truth is, I didn't do any of the stuff that I normally do. I learned to do a whole bunch of different things. And this is actually going to be the topic for next week's masterclass, which is putting in those 10,000 hours, right? We all have this concept in the creative space about, how do you really get good at something, whether it's illustration or Photoshop or video or music or, building engines. You got to put in those hours. You got to do that dedicated time. So I'm going to do a little bit of a strange, different masterclass next week. But in short, most of my time was spent up in Alaska, in the wilderness. I learned how to weld, how to grind, how to cut steel, how to use an axe properly, cut down trees, built stuff, painted stuff, hurt myself a whole bunch, and now have all the cuts, scrapes, and scars to prove it. But it was wonderful, reinvigorating, re-enlightening, and it's really, really great to be back. So as always, just a couple of quick shout outs here. Hey, Cody and Jurgen and Uriel and Bliss, Golden Rose and Steve, Reverb Mike. It's Friday. Watch out for Jason. Good to see the comedy has not stopped while I've been gone. All right. Great to see you all. And Felix. Hey, what's up? Ron Sussman, Levon Hall from New York City checking in. Jason Bloom, Gareth Williams. All right. And so many more. Wow, we really a lot of people in here. Bruce Gonzalez. How's it going? Oh, so cool. Oh, thank you, Felix. It's sounding exhilarating. I really am. And I have to be honest, I had some anxiety coming back today. I never have that kind of anxiety, but it was just like, wow, I haven't been with my community in so long. Have they forgotten me? So hopefully not. So it is really lovely to see you all. I see on my channel here, we've got Radio Free Platypus and Snehith Kalyan and Flofeld and Jan Yawad and Fernando and TR Bolin. Yes, scars are trophies, Fernando. I love that. So it is really great. And of course, wonderful to see everybody here out on Twitter, which hopefully this stream, I'm going to tweet that out right now. Hopefully that just went out. So in any case, why don't we go ahead and get started? So what we're going to talk about today are a couple of new features that we just released in the Premiere Pro beta. And again, as many of you maybe are not familiar with using the beta applications or even where to access them, most of our beta applications are now available to you directly inside of Creative Cloud Desktop. They are free, and they of course can run concurrently side by side with the release versions of your software. This is a pretty significant change, particularly on the video side. Back in the day, if you were a pre-release tester, you could always have both installed, but sometimes there were some shared elements that maybe caused issue. This has been completely rectified. So now you can have your proper release version installed, you can have the betas installed, and you update them through the Creative Cloud Desktop, and it just works really, really nicely, easily, and seamlessly. So we're going to start there. So let me go ahead and switch over my screen. I'm going to just pull up real quickly here. Let me pull up Creative Cloud. Hold on, I'm going to minimize some of this stuff. Before I do that, oh, why do I have so many tabs open today? I'm not even a tab person. Or am I a tab person? No, I never liked tab. Okay, let's go ahead and switch over here. All right, and we on the desktop. Okay, so here I am in my Creative Cloud Desktop app. Of course, you've seen this familiar interface. What you might not have noticed is that along the left-hand side, and I must admit, I'm often guilty of just kind of not seeing things that don't apply. If you sort of scroll down at the bottom of the categories, you'll see that we have beta apps here right at the bottom. So if we go ahead and click into beta apps, this is where you can access Premiere, Media Encoder. Now, I don't know if Illustrator is public for everybody. I think it is now. I can't remember. But Premiere Rush, After Effects, Character Animator, Audition, all of the video apps are accessible to everyone who's a Creative Cloud member in beta. And this is where we're going to be able to access Premiere for today's purposes. So I've already downloaded and installed Premiere. And really, the benefit here is that you get to have an early look at stuff in development. All right. There have been several huge features over the last year and a half or so, and we just revamped this whole beta last April, so April of 2020. including features like speech to text and the transcription stuff that you've seen that we showcased at Max, some of which has already now come into the proper Premiere Pro product, seeing a lot of great comments and feedback on the videos that we did around captioning in Premiere Pro, which has really taken a leap forward. And again, we're still in this kind of new V1 version of the captions here, but we're continually changing and improving things in Premiere. And one of the goals here is to make the process of starting and getting started easier and less intimidating. I've heard every one of our streamers on this channel, from Paul to Cody to Terry to Kyle and Howard, talk about, you know, that blank canvas that you see when you start Photoshop or you start Premiere, start After Effects, and it can be really intimidating. And just the import process in the past, it's for such a visual application and for video, and you're just thinking like, there should just be beauty and stuff to see, there was still a lot of text-based, sort of OS-based dialog boxes for importing media, for kind of just handling the starting process. And it's not a matter of intimidation for a lot of users, it's a turnoff, right? If you don't kind of see stuff that you can begin identifying and working with, you're probably less likely to use it. And I know one of my personal goals is to reach out to more and more people and make sure that they just open Premiere more than once if they're new to it. You know, open it and have some kind of good experience. So right away, you might notice a couple of little differences here in the UI. We're going to come back to this new modified menu bar at the top here. Now, I can keep this project open or I can close it. I just want to show you that you have access now. You know, you're seeing this in all of our Adobe apps now, the home button. I believe that's actually already in there. But, you know, home, this is just going to take us right back to this initial load up screen. So this is kind of the first thing that you see when you open up Premiere for the first time. And it's showing you some of my most recently opened projects. In fact, here, I'm just going to click out of this. Let me go ahead and close this project. We'll come back to this, all right? And we're going to start a new one. Now, this is really where the fundamental differences in the new beta are very obvious and very evident. And if you're a Rush user, this might look a little familiar to you. So let's go ahead and start by clicking on New Project in the upper left there. And right away, this is the screen that you're now greeted with. So what we've done is we've completely revamped. Oh, and you know what? Based on this, can I even resize this window here? Can I move this? I'm going to change my size in this window because I'm kind of in the way. So here, bear with me for a second here because I don't want to miss anything. I'm just going to scale myself down a little bit so that you can see everything. That's really small. Maybe let's move it over here. Better. Okay. So sample footage. Now this is something, if you've used Premiere Rush on the desktop, you've probably encountered before. This footage will likely change, by the way. Remember, this is beta, so this stuff is always changing. But you're going to see this sample footage, and then you just have this very graphical interface to begin the process of importing media. And this is all media. So whether it's MP4 media, or if we navigate to a drive, and I'm going to go into this 2020 folder here, and let's say I wanted to bring in some Photoshop files, okay? PSDs, JPEGs, what have you. You can see them here visually, easily. You can, you know, resize the thumbnails here visually, easily. You can choose how they're organized. Or if we're bringing in actual video and other types of moving media or sound, click on those elements. You're going to see all of that stuff delivered to you visually here. So again, fundamentally, you know, you go into the file open or double click inside the project panel to import, and you're kind of just like looking at file names. Yes, you can reorganize how the OS shows you media, but we wanted to take that out of the OS. We wanted to put it right in the app here just to make it easier to find your stuff. Go to a drive, see your stuff, right? It has hover scrubbing. So as we go to a clip and I hover over it, I can see what's inside that clip to tell me if that's the clip that I want or not, right? Now, we're not setting in and outs here. That's not what this is. This is just selecting, making our selects for a sequence, for a timeline, or multiple sequences or timelines, okay? So once I do that, I can start clicking on media here. So maybe we'll start with something like this one, this one here, Arizona Rainbow Pan Suburbia. And when I do that, and the reason why I wanted to shrink up my own self is that what you're going to see, this is new for Premiere, you're going to get a little thumbnail down here. Now what's happening is we're starting to build a pseudo timeline, just kind of showing you what you're bringing into your project and in what order. All right. Now in Rush, I think you get 1, 2, 3, 4. You get sort of numerical values. If you want that kind of stuff, suggest that inside the beta. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Let's grab a couple other pieces of footage here. You've seen this stuff before. Old shots from San Francisco. All right, I'm just going to bring in a couple. These are all fairly similar. Something like this. Maybe you'll go to another folder. Let's bring in something different here. Okay, wheel spokes, why not? Okay, and it all begins adding this down into the timeline, all right? Super cool, easy. So Jason Bloom is saying, media browser is taking over, I like it. Right, so this is kind of a modified media browser, but at the import stage. Now here's where, again, we kind of do some cool stuff that just, it's a little more intuitive and just makes a little bit more sense. First of all, we didn't name the project or do anything. So right below your thumbnails, you see this is where you can add your project name and your project location, right? And I kind of just like the layout of this here. It's very clear to see, where is my stuff going? Where am I going to be able to find this afterwards? Really trying to make this as simple and seamless as possible. I believe it'll use the last location that you saved to. Again, just making things a little bit easier. So let's call this Masterclass Return, all right? What's also cool is that you'll see up at the top here, we have create new sequence. So you can automatically build a sequence based on that little timeline view that you see down here right away, really quickly. So again, traditionally you'd bring the footage into Premiere, you make your select, you right click, create new sequence from clip, or you go into the new sequence icon, or you go up to the file menu. You don't have to do any of that. You can build a sequence and name that sequence. We'll call this AZSF HFR, because there's some high frame rate stuff in there. Give it a name, select your stuff, tell it where you want to go. Maybe there's some additional files that you want to bring in there. Maybe we'll bring in some music. I don't know how much iTunes I have on this machine. We're going to find out right now. Oh, I have quite a few things. Okay. Let's see if I have any of my random things that I can bring in here. All right, so here we'll grab this one, click create. This is an M4A file, and I love that it tells you everything. What I love about this is that all the supported media in Premiere, so whether it's MXF files or MP4s or M4As or AACs or JPEG, or as I mentioned, PSD, or whatever it is, you're gonna be able to access and see all of this. Go ahead and click create, and just like that, it builds the sequence. So here, I'm just gonna take a sec, and let me just move my, my camera back into position, because you all know that I just can't have myself in the wrong spot, okay? And now we've just kind of simplified the starting process. Now, your UI is not likely going to look like this necessarily. And again, for those who are new to Premiere, up under the window menu, under workspaces, and this is something which years ago I didn't really embrace. Now I fully embrace workspaces. These are all of the standard workspaces. We've got some other ones in here that you can customize, of course. But so your UI may not look exactly like mine. Admittedly, mine looks a little bit busy, but just trying to show kind of the breadth of look and color and all the kinds of stuff that we have going on in this timeline. Now, what's interesting too is notice I brought in that audio file and it just stacked it on the same track as all the existing audio from the other video clips. That's fine. Again, whether you want to build the sequence or not at the start, that's up to you. It's as simple as just clicking and moving it to another track. You still have the same standard track configurations when you open up the UI here. But just right away, you've got your footage in front of you. You have it laid out in the order that you selected, and you can just begin. And you can begin by, hitting play if you so desire, all right? Whatever it needs to be. And there's no audio on this. It's just like ambient sound, so we're not going to worry about that for now. Again, you can kind of scrub through it all, see what you want, do what you want to do. You can make an alternate timeline from this, an alternate sequence. It's really very simple. Oh, in this case, this was a 240 frame one. I'm going to scale this up to fit the frame size of everything else. Okay, and if we wanted to make time adjustments to this, we could do it as well, all right? So just the starting process, the import process, right, has changed fundamentally. Remember, if we want to do it classically, we can still go back to the project panel, double click in here, and then here's our standard way of importing footage. I've done it like this for so long, it almost feels weird not to do it that way. And you still can kind of see what it is, but it feels like, yeah, it feels like we're in the Mac OS or in Windows, right? We're trying to eliminate that. We're trying to make this visual, trying to make it easier for anybody, regardless of your skill level, to just start bringing stuff in. So this works wonderfully. Really love how this is turning out. Now, again, so you've got this new menu bar up here at the top where you can see you've got dedicated, import, edit, and export. So if I click over to import, what this does is it just kind of, I can't remember who said that earlier, in the spirit of media browser, it brings us into this import screen. We still have our existing sequence open. So I could come back here and I could go into some additional footage. So let's see, we're going to go into our, let's maybe do this folder here. And which one do we want? Boxing, that's the one I want. Okay, this has got some of our Adobe stock content. So I'm just going to bring this in. Now maybe I don't want a sequence. All right, so I can uncheck that. I just want this footage in the project. So again, I'm going to import. It imports those files. Those files are now living up here in the project panel. They haven't been added to my timeline, but it's just a really quick and easy way to go back to import. Again, if you've used Premiere Rush, this is not going to feel unfamiliar to you. I think it's actually slicker in Premiere in the beta, and it's really fast. It doesn't break your flow at all. So again, it's going to give you all your attributes. If we want to go ahead and drag this down into the timeline, we go ahead and do that. All right, bring our footage in. I think this stuff was all 4K, so I would probably scale this down. There we go, to fit our selected frame size there, okay? So again, you've got your home button here, which is always going to take you back to this screen. Remember, in Premiere, you can also have simultaneous projects open at the same time. So we could open up another project if we wanted to from here and work on those. You've got an enormous amount of flexibility, but your main sequence is always there. I love this. It just feels so fluid. Not that I didn't love closing things, and sometimes I like to close and stop and sort of realign. This just makes it really, really easy, all right? Now, talking about if you find things that you want in here, like the numerical values on the footage as you select it. Now that might seem a little, I don't even know what the word is anymore. Not prosumer. I don't know. Maybe you just don't like that. Or maybe you want that. That's actually one of the things I really like in Rush Mobile is that as I select footage, 1, 2, 3, 4, I can see what's what, and then I see it in that little timeline display. This is an opportunity for you to tell our engineers directly any feedback that you may have. So up at the top right corner, so you're gonna notice a couple of different buttons here. We're gonna get into some of these. By the way, this is quick export. We introduced this back in March, April, I forget now, a couple months ago. This is just a really fast and easy way to export an MP4 with presets. You don't go into the standard media encoder export dialog. All right, cloud activity, we'll come back to that. What's new, we'll come back to that. But if you want to give feedback, you want to give suggestions, you click on this Provide Feedback button. And right here, I love this. Report a bug, request a feature, visit the community. If you use our forums, if you use Adobe Voice, all of these things are great. What's really nice about this stuff here, including reporting bugs and feature requests, is that our engineers are going through the links that these things follow with your comments every day. So you are, I mean, I can't give you, I'm not sitting next to them, so I can't guarantee it'll be seen in this moment. But you are pretty much guaranteed that all of that stuff's going to be seen by a human within 24 to 48 hours of you posting it in there, because they are actively reading this stuff, because they are updating the betas all the time. So this is the really nice thing too, if you do wind up installing something like the Premiere Pro beta, just like all your other CC apps, you're just going to get a notification in CC Desktop, hey, the beta's been updated, do you want to download it? A lot of that then showcases the features and things that the engineers have changed, have fixed, have modified, have altered. So where do you find out about all the stuff that's been added, changed, fixed, modified, or altered? Well, that's the what's new in beta. Let's go ahead and click on that icon. All right. Now I did this before. It starts in new changes. So I was in there, I flicked through it. And then what's funny is after you've done it, it's like, okay, you're all caught up. So normally you'd see all the new stuff right there. I mistakenly did that before I started the stream. If we go to all changes though, this is going to show you, all the various things that have been added in here and their status. In this case, you're going to see a lot of stuff in development. There's this new metadata effect in development, all right? Upgrade legacy titles. This is an interesting one because a lot of people have been asking about this. If you've been using the legacy titler in Premiere for a long, long time, despite having the ability to do graphics in the Essential Graphics panel, some people just love the legacy titler. So now you can add the ability to upgrade Premiere legacy titles into Essential Graphics. Guess what? That was a customer request. Yes. So again, the engineers are really listening here. They're really listening to what you're requesting, and you're going to be able to see that stuff pop up in here really quickly, all right? So there's just a lot of really cool things that you can find. Again, you can rate features. There's no features that need rating right now, but you've got a lot of direct access to our internal community, our internal people, to really give them your feedback, all right? This is an invaluable thing. Okay. Jason, can you change where the project will be located in this screen? Yeah, so you do that. You do that when you're building your new project. So like if we were going to say go home, here I'm just going to save this real quick. You can of course change it at any time. I mean, I change it when you begin the process, not once the project's been started, because then you'd have to move it and then re-import it, obviously. But yeah, just by clicking on this here, can you see that? Yeah, I was down by where my icon is there. You can just change the location. So if we wanted to put it on the desktop and give it a new folder or wherever, you can change it just by clicking on it right there, right? That's just the last location that I saved to. So that's why it showed that there, okay? Okay, let's see if we got any other cues here. Annika, thank you so much. Very nice to see you. Okay, all right, no other questions for the moment. All right, so import, new import, easier import, visual import. That's the major one. Now, we talked about quick export here. If you haven't seen that, I just want to point this one out because this one is also really, really cool. It's just a really fast and easy way to do an export. You just tell it where you want it to go. Again, similar kind of UI there. And then based on the attributes of your sequence, it's going to give you a couple of presets, right? Adaptive, high bit rate, low bit rate, medium, high quality, and these are all MP4s, by the way, 4K, 1080p, 720p, 480p. You've also got the option to show more presets. If you're just looking to do something really quick, really fast, really easy, I could choose something like this. Let's do a high quality 1080p. It tells you, all the attributes here. So you're going to create an H.264 at 1920 1080, 30 FPS, 20 megabit file. That's a nice high quality HD file. I think YouTube's still only 16, right, for 1080. So 20 megs is lovely. It's 4 minutes, it's stereo, and this is the estimated file size. All right, click export, why not? Oh, and this is the beta, sorry. So, sorry. I'm not gonna worry about exporting this right now because I forgot. I'm in the beta here. But in the release version, you can do this right now. It works. It's great. So that's a quick and dirty way to do that. Now, similarly or dissimilarly, we've also got this new export function up here. So when you do that, this is now potentially, because it's in beta, the revamped export dialog, right? Now, anyone who's exported in the existing version of Premiere, once again, it feels like home to me. It's also very, very intimidating, right? You do have kind of the graphical, and I'll show it maybe in just a second here. You have, showing you what you've opened and you can kind of see it, but it's not inviting, right? It's a lot of text. It's a lot of gray space. There's a lot of gray space here too, but something about this kind of feels, I don't know, it feels welcoming. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So first of all, along the left-hand side, we have our export destinations. So right away, left to right, where do you want this stuff to go? So by default, of course, I want to create a file. So I'm exporting just the file. That's your default status, right? I just want to export my media. What's this little ellipsis here? Oh, add media file destination, rename destination. Okay, so you can do that from here. And then you have all of your various social destinations, including other places like if you were, say, uploading content to Adobe Stock. So you're going to be monetizing content on Adobe Stock, you can upload directly from here. And with these things, this is where, again, if you were to enable these, you're going to sign in to your respective accounts, right? So I haven't done any of this in this beta, but if I wanted to upload this to my YouTube channel, it already took the sign in from the existing version. It knows which channel I'm on. I can tell it, what playlist I want it to go to, not on this particular channel here, et cetera, et cetera. So you can choose the destinations. Now, again, this is all in the existing Premiere, but it's about 1/3 of the way down of the UI on the right side not in the video tab, which is the default. It's 5 or 6 tabs over under the Publish tab. And that's where you're going to see your destinations, right? Destination publishing is something that everybody does now, right? Yes, you want your master file, but I also would like to save myself some time and upload to YouTube and Vimeo and Facebook and wherever. So first stop is, where do you want this stuff to go? I love it. All right. Now, if we just go back to our media file settings, I love this because I give it my name, so we can call it our, Masterclass Masterpiece. See what I did there? Choose your location. Again, you've got the same sort of presets here. What happens if we click more presets? It fails. There we go, preset manager. Okay, so here's all the other various presets we have. Now, again, even this is it's kind of significantly nicer, prettier, more inviting. Just the way it's labeled, I kind of love the font change here. It tells you the category of the various presets: cinema, devices, broadcast, Adobe Stock, image sequence, broadcast. It just kind of is going to give you all the stuff you need. You can even search. So let's say you want, I want some ProRes presets. I type in ProRes. Now it's showing me not only my custom ones, but any other existing ProRes presets that are in there. You can see all of the various system presets and all of your various custom ones as well. Again, some of this might not exactly be all linked up. What I love about this, and keep in mind if you hadn't noticed, this is called the Preset Manager. So if you recall, in the existing current version of Premiere, you have that sort of import, export, those buttons at the very top of the UI next to Format. Some people, it just goes completely unnoticed. This way, when you go into more presets, it's really easy. Now you can go, oh, you know what? I want to import some new presets that I created. Maybe someone made a preset for me. Working with an agency, they've got a specific Instagram set of settings that they want me to use. I can very easily import their preset. Or I want to take this Adobe Stock 4K DCI ProRes preset and I want to share it with somebody. Just by selecting that, notice export becomes highlighted. So this is really easy to manage, right? To share, to import, and to select what you want to use for your content. Also, it gives you this really lovely summary of what the heck is this anyway. So if, let's say I wanted to use this for my content right now. It's QuickTime. It's based on ProRes 422HQ. All right. It's for 4K DCI though. So right away, this is the wrong frame size and probably slightly different aspect ratio for my content. This is not the one I would want for that. So I might want to use something like this one, Adobe Stock HD 422HQ. Look back over here. And yes, okay, so now we're in the standard 16:9, 1920, 1080, contains audio. This is for Adobe Stock. Again, this is the sort of preferred if I were going to be uploading for Adobe Stock. I just like that it gives you this little summary, you know? What the heck is this anyway? Right. It just gives you everything you need. Now, you might also say, well, Jason, this is still pretty overwhelming. There's a lot of text, there's a lot of gray, there's a lot of data. Yeah, but this is if you're getting into the weeds. And now we've just kind of given you all the stuff you need, right? Like I want to go to 8K HEVC, Lord help us, but right there, real simple. I can see exactly what is going into that, what it's making me. Real nice. This is in the broadcast category, all right? I want to look for HEVC presets. I can see all the existing HEVC presets. You know, that's the other thing. A lot of people have said to me over the years, well, I don't know. Do I want MP4? Do I want H.264? Do I want MXF? Do I want DCP? How do I find those? You know, we have a lot of presets in that existing menu. There's no real way. You can't search on it though. Yeah, there's a really easy search, and then you can favorite stuff. So is this, you get the idea? See what we're doing here, right? Like I don't use DCP. I'm not making stuff for cinema. But there are definitely, you know, if I were to go into ProRes, there are definitely several of these that I use all the time. So, you know, it would make sense for me to come in here and go, oh yeah, this one, 422HQ, this is standard, it's YUV 10-bit, okay. And a 422LT, I use that all the time as well. Go ahead and favorite that. Click my little checkbox here, show favorites only. There we go, even if I clear that, all right? And I favorited all of these because I use these a lot, all right? So we're just really trying to emphasize that it's just easier to get that stuff out, right? I'm showing you all the detail, all the nerd stuff now. Someone right now is going, this looks really complicated. It's all just there. I just open up you don't have to see any of that. We're gonna give you the suggested things that you need. So again, and here's all your formats anyway. This kind of looks like the existing one, right? So if we went into something like JPEG 2000, now I can see a couple of suggested presets, or I can go into more, right? We're just trying to make it easier. H.264, I think H.264 is the default. It just makes it really easy. And then you've got all your settings. Again, if you just want to match the source, you can do that. Notice we've moved all of these buttons as well. So maximum depth, maximum render quality, using preview files, using proxies, rendering alpha channel, and then all your time interpolation settings, blending, sampling, optical flow. Just really cleaned this up. Under audio, this is just more accessible now. So what format do you want the audio in? AAC or MPEG? You know, in this case, your choice of codec, this being H.264. If we went into something like, let's go back into QuickTime here, and we'll choose a ProRes flavor. All right, I'll just stick with this one for right now. So I could choose, in this case, because we're ProRes, it's going to be uncompressed, going to have our 48K sample rate, choose our bit depth here. So if I were creating a master, most likely probably 24-bit. If it were for my own archive, I'd probably do 32-bit float, because that's our native working bit depth in both Premiere and Audition. But you can choose how you want it to be. Now, what's really cool, again, so we've kind of moved a lot of those tabs into this little middle section here. But what's also nice is, so for captioning, you've got this little twirl down right here. There's no captions on this video, but this will show us our export options, whether we wanted to embed them, right? So burn them into the video or create that sidecar file. So this is going to be revealed to you right away. So it's kind of like, what do I want to do? Where do I want it to go? Here's my timeline. All right. What format do I want it to be in? Well, the default's going to be H.264, but I can choose my preset, choose my format. And then like, okay, under video, what other things do I need to select here? Again, this is all that stuff that you're kind of forced to see today, right? Everything from frame size, field order, if you're requiring HDR, your color space, your bit depth. I mean, most people they don't need to see all these things, right? It's wonderful that we have all of that in there. We were just revealing it to everyone all the time, and if you don't need it, it's kind of a drag. Twirl it up, all right? Audio, captions, effects. Now again, this is the first tab in the existing export dialog now. So this is where you can do things like adding a LUT on export. So again, if I were to choose apply the LUT here, now again, it did something weird to the visual there, but this would allow me to cycle through different LUTs. This is particular, oh, that's actually cool, blue steel. This is particularly useful. Oh, and that's because we're in that weird DCI format. This is particularly useful if you're trying to add a bit of a grade, a pre-grade to your raw footage before you show it to the client, right? You're not going to go and grade the day's work, but maybe just throw a LUT on there, a look, and go, okay, you kind of wanted this cool blue sort of thing. You know, here's the before, kind of slightly flat and creamy. and here's the more stylized version. And you can just kind of burn those out as you do the export, right? Your image overlays. So if you wanted to add, you know, any particular a logo bug or anything like that, name overlays, you can have the footage, you can choose, you know, the size of how stuff appears on there, where it goes, you know, you've got all these different options here. Kind of love the way we've done this. Again, this is not new. This is already there. We've just changed how it's revealed. You can have your time code implemented in here. And again, you can scale this up however you want based on, you know, where stuff is in the timeline. And this is all dynamic. So as you move through these things, your time code, all of those things are going to change and be reflected as such. So I just love kind of having this stuff on here, and the way that we've organized it now, it's real simple. This is also where you can implement the time tuner, the video limiter. So again, for those of you in broadcast or delivering to networks where you have to conform to a specific IRE value, this is where you can do this for your clip level, loudness normalization. It's all the same stuff that you had, just kind of nicely written out. I also love in loudness normalization, first of all, this looks much nicer. You can choose your audio standard. You can choose your tolerance and max peak. You can configure it automatically. You can also write your loudness report here, which for a broadcaster is going to tell you everything you need to know. I love all this kind of stuff. This is, you know, this is getting really nerdy, but that's where it is. And by the way, doesn't it make sense that the effects section is a little further down? Why the effects tab was the first one in the existing media encoder, I'll never quite understand. It always defaults to the video one, but why was effects all the way on the left? Kind of strange. Why wouldn't it have started with video? Metadata, very important. Embed, create sidecar, embed an output file and create sidecar, minimum required. This is wonderful. Include clip and sequence markers. Great stuff here. And then you've got various actions in this case, which is to re-import your content back into the project. And, you know, this is just going to give you your nice little summary here. This is what we're exporting. These are the details. All right, here it is. And then you have the same options here to use the modal export, where what's going to happen is if I just click export right now, it's going to use all of my system's resources. So all my cores, all my memory, and perform the fastest export it can, under the impression that you're not going to leave Premiere or try and do anything else. If you like go and try and watch YouTube while that's happening, stuff's going to slow down because it's trying to use all the resources of your machine. So if you'd rather do it in the background, you can send to Media Encoder. So you have the same options. We've just kind of just glorified, beautified the buttons here. Export's going to be the traditional modal one. Send to Media Encoder is the traditional queue, is how I think it's listed now. All right. Felix, it is way more user-friendly like this. I totally agree. I want to forget the interface and concentrate on the edit. Yep, nice. Clunky bits, yep, totally. You get it. I mean, this is what we're trying to do here. And then you can still, again, review your content. You can adjust the ins and outs, you know, accordingly right here. So if we want to do only a very small section of this, you know, I can limit exactly what's being exported right here, okay? And that's it. Real simple, really, really easy. Down at the bottom left, you can't see it because my head is over, but at the bottom left down here, that's where the exit button is. Don't mind the beta stuff. And you can get back to your content here, right? So even that process of kind of shifting between export, there's something very fluid about this because you can just click back. Now I clicked exit. You don't even have to do that. I can just go back to the edit and then go back to export. By the way, I'm up at the top here. Probably not seeing my cursor. I can go back to edit. Now we're in the edit. I can go back to import. I can go back home. I can go back to the edit. These might seem like small things, but they're not. They're actually really significant changes. Now, I want to point this out too. This is the beta. So this might not end up looking like this. It might look very different. It might look exactly the same. Maybe we're going to add some stuff. Maybe we'll change the color. Maybe we'll do this. This is where your feedback is essential because we're putting it out there so that you, the community, can tell us we love it, we don't love it, kind of love it. This is how I think it could be better. This is how I think it could be more user-friendly. This is how it can keep me in the edit and not distract me from other things. So much of that, right, is all about kind of leveraging this. And I just want to point out too, if you don't want to use the beta or you feel like, well, that's like getting free QE, don't do it. You don't have to. You know, again, in previous betas, you had to commit, right? It's like, well, I'm going to send a bug review every month. I don't even remember what the requirements were, but there were kind of implied requirements that if you're going to be in pre-release, you kind of had to contribute. You don't have to. The nice thing is, if you do, engineers will see your commentary. Truly. That's by the way, that's not me trying to tell you something. That's true. The engineers go through this stuff daily. They're very serious about it. Same with After Effects. And you know this, if you've been working in After Effects, that's another great beta to check out. Character Animator's another one. They're always sneaking little things in there that eventually make it. So you'll have the opportunity to test this stuff way in advance. 3D is a great example of that. We had all of that 3D stuff implemented in After Effects months before it actually got released. You just had to download the beta and try it. So there's a lot of benefits of doing that, and I want to emphasize again that these things can run side by side if you want to do that. Yes, it takes up that much more disk space, but you're not going to have conflicts, you know, having the release version of After Effects and the beta version. They can coexist seamlessly now, real simply. All right? Hello, Glenn from Albany. Tim, thank you. It's nice to see you too. Great to be back. All right. Okay, very cool. All right, so let me go back to, actually here, I'm just going to quickly, I'm going to save this because I just want to show in my last couple of minutes. So now that we've seen the process in the existing beta, let me go ahead and open up the release version of Premiere just to kind of give you the contrast, all right? And this may inspire you to maybe download the beta later today, okay? As I continue to check the chats. Looking over here. All right. TR Bolin, export changes are a great improvement. Export dialogue as a PIA. Yes, right? Russell Anderson, wait, go back to SDR conform. Did I miss something? Okay, I can go back in there for you. I don't think anything's changed in there, Russell, in terms of what's in that dialogue just yet. It's the same in the effects tab, so there's no changes there. Okay. Reef Patrol. Thank you so much. Nice to see you as well. All right. John Jawad. Thank you from Pakistan. Yes. How to control noise and highlights and video in Premiere. Well, you know, for noise, and I say this all the time. So here, let me click back to my screen. You know, I always say for noise reduction, we don't have... oh, is it opening? You're seeing my... Let's just offline those. Hopefully there's content in here, maybe not. What was I just saying? I just forgot what you just asked me. That's not sabbatical brain. That's old man brain. Oh, noise and highlights. Thank you. So for noise, my chosen favorite is neat video noise reduction. Are all of these without content? Probably, because I didn't relink anything. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, that's okay. We don't need to see this. Neat video. NEAT. That is my chosen, proven. It's still wonderful. There's tons of noise reduction effects out there. That's the one I'd recommend. It works in both Premiere and After Effects. It's also supported for FCP and Resolve and everything else. I've been using it since 2008, I think. They're constantly updating. It's like it's small company. They're wonderful. You know, Red Giant makes noise reduction. There's lots of them out there. And for controlling highlights, blown out highlights, you know, assuming you've got the data in your... Oh, there it is. The footage is there. Assuming you have the data in the shot, you know, you were capturing 10-bit or whatever, I would take advantage of Lumetri Color. I mean, you know, start here in basic and work your way up or down. You know, if you're working in HDR, we've got better improved support for HDR, also more color spaces. supported, you know, and viewable. So if you go into your settings here, you can see, let me zoom in so you can see that, whole bunch of new color spaces for working with different color and how to monitor said color space. So that would be my recommendation. You know, start with Lumetri. If you want to go deeper, again, you know, depending upon the kind of color corrections you're looking to perform, you know, Red Giant has great tools. There's lots of third-party things that'll do that as well. But I would start there. And for noise reduction, Neat is just my personal preference. So again, let's just cover real quickly. So note, we do have the home button here. We do have quick export up at the top right. Okay, this is what I was showing you before. But all that other stuff is not here. So this ultimately may change, right? Let's say we wanted to export this bit right here. So we're going to do File, Export Media. So right away, I don't have that export button. I got to go into the menu or remember Control, Command M, whatever. So here's our traditional dialog. Now, for many of us, this feels like home because we've just seen it forever. But you can imagine, you know, it just looks like it was designed not today, right? It's a nice design. I like it. It's symmetrical. It works for me. But it is kind of a lot. There's all of your formats. There's all of your presets. Like, again, this is why this is kind of intimidating to people. You think, okay, I want H.264. What should I choose? You just start seeing all this stuff, you know. Well, I kind of do want my footage to be VR. You didn't shoot it in VR, but if you don't know that, and you're like, oh, cool, I'll export it in VR. It's just, right? It's just kind of weird. You know, oh, I want to go to Twitter. You know, maybe you have to search, find that. We make it easier here. By the way, here's that import export preset that I was talking about. So they're here. These buttons, I've seen people use it. They go completely unnoticed, you know. So this is that traditional export. By the way, destination publishing. What if I want to go to Vimeo or YouTube or stock? You got to know to click this tab over here, right? And then you've got, you know, all your various sign-ins and stuff here. It's also just in that smaller UI. So it's just, it doesn't give you as much space. Now again, for captioning, this is what I was showing you. Sidecar or burn the captions in. If you choose the burn in, by the way, you'll see them displayed in the output monitor here. If you choose sidecar, you won't see them displayed because they're all being exported in a sidecar file, which you can upload separately to destinations like YouTube, etc. All right. If there's styling in there, we've talked about this before, here's where you can implement and enable SRT styling. So it's all the same stuff. It's just an older UI, right? So we're just giving it a bit of a facelift here. And again, you still have the same send to media encoder, that's the Q button, and the modal export, which is this one here. Estimated size, metadata, all the same stuff, just, you know, designed not today. And what you're seeing in the beta is stuff that's really happening in real time right now. Okay? Cool. Tim, what is this, 2007? Right, I mean, it's funny, right? Mobile device, 480p, SD wide. That's the thing, and that's largely why we're redesigning a lot of this, because a lot of users have said, why am I seeing, I don't think, in fact, I'm gonna check. I'll go back to the screen in a second. I wanna see if they're actually in here. I don't think they are. For a long time, we showed presets that, yeah, like 480p and, you know, 360p, just like stuff that you really just don't use anymore, you know? And we've also tried to sort of routinely clean up those menus. But Tim makes a great point. We got to move on. You can always customize it. Look, if you want to do a 320 by 240 export, you can do that, right? It's as simple as coming in here manually. You're like, I want to go old school. Okay, so let's just go into our video settings and let's change this. Let's do a circa 320 by 180. Well, oh yeah, because this is 16:9. 320, 180. So what year? What we're talking like 99, right? I'm trying to remember, like, what did I export QuickTimes in back in the Premiere 5 days? I mean, this would have been it. First of all, there was no 16:9. This would have been SD 720 480, or not even. What am I saying? No, that's it. It wasn't square pixels, right? I love seeing these old school. I mean, a lot of people ask too, why do you still show the old school aspect ratios? Well, because around the world, you still have a lot of these active, particularly in broadcast. For those of us who are shooting, DSLR, iPhone, mirrorless, we're always dealing in square. But especially as you go into higher end cameras, you've got different aspect ratios. And of course, you can always customize. So, you still have all that flexibility, and you can still do all that. We just don't necessarily need to reveal all those presets to you right away, right? I mean, it makes sense. I don't need to see 480p presets if I'm working in 4 or 8K. I mean, don't waste my time, right? Come on, man. Right. I don't want to see that. So that stuff's being cleaned up. Very cool. Might as well apply the Red Giant VHS filter. Yes, which, by the way, do that, but do it in 4K, and then it really looks amazing, right? If you want to go super old school and, connect a tape deck and export yourself and make something that's, super small and grainy, you can do that too. You have those options available to you. Be kind, rewind. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Sabbatical brain was just what I was about to type. Right. Yeah. Hey, speaking of old man brain. So it's my birthday Monday. So I am excited for that. As excited as one can be. So I don't know why I bothered saying that just now, but it was making me think of my age. I was like, oh, that's right. It's my birthday Monday. So it'll be nice for next week's stream to kind of get into this 10,000 hours concept. And actually, so let's talk about that briefly. Kind of just take you through some of the processes of, how I got into editing. I'm going to show you lots of cool examples. I've been compiling stuff all this week. Also even talk about one of my offspring. So during the sabbatical, I was working really closely with my young son, who's quite an illustrator now. I'll show this stuff next week and show you that process. And it really speaks to this concept of the 10,000 hours thing. And I can tell you that my little one watches, well, he's gone back. We've watched a lot. We've watched a lot of Cody Bear, watched a lot of Kyle Webster. He's watched some of Paul's illustration stuff. Victoria, one of our old Twitch streamers. Oh my God, I'm forgetting her name right now. In Oregon. Maliveth. Watched a lot of those, got very inspired by a lot of those. I think he even watched some of Moulton's old stuff from back in the day. But it's amazing to see this progression from like age 6 to 9, doing it every day. This kid draws nonstop. We've gone back in and out of, paper, Adobe Draw, paper, Fresco, paper. Right now we're back on paper. He loves paper. He's got a million pens, pencils. I mean, it feels very authentic to see his little drawing room. But the progression is what we're talking about. And when I was on sabbatical and I got to do all these things that I don't normally do, all I kept thinking about was, how do I get better at this? Just keep doing it. And then I got to see some of the stuff I was doing that was all this kind of manual, outside of the box stuff, not in the creative space, get better with every attempt. So we're going to kind of go through that and show you some of the resources and the apps that can help you along with that as well, which I think is going to be super cool. So that'll be a fun one. I'm going to check back here for some last minute questions. All right. Yeah, Cody, I can't wait to show you. I'm actually really excited. So again, just to get very personal here for a moment, sharing some personal stuff. You've seen my little 9-year-old. I've shown some of his, because he's now, well, we haven't done it in a while. Last year during quarantine, I let him stream on YouTube gaming and stuff. And he's made some funny videos in Premiere and Rush. So, but having watched a lot, he does a lot of like animals and stuff. And his style just keeps changing. Right now, he's very like manga anime. So it's very different from what it was even a month ago. But it's one of those, here's how it started, here's how it's going kind of things. This isn't Proud Dad. It's like, holy expletive. Like, look at what happens when you just dedicate that time and just refine, the technique to the point now where I'm like, hey, can you draw me a picture of me or himself? He did a self-portrait recently and I was freaked out because the hair was so good. His haircut, like I didn't even have to see the face. I saw the head and like, that's your head. You got your face shape. And he learned how to shape faces. I can tell you directly from Cody and Kyle watching their videos. Such good stuff. I'll be 39. That is very funny, Tim. Yeah, no. We're not 50 yet, friends. We're pushing it. We're not quite there. I will say it's late 40s. Let's just go there, all right? Late 40s. My Hero Academia. Yes. Yes. And that's my older son, got him into that. So yes, I don't even necessarily know what that is, but I've heard him mention it. So yes. Okay. Very cool. All right, everyone. Well, with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching. It's been wonderful being back. Thanks for such a warm welcome back to the new Adobe Live YouTube channel, as well as those watching on Twitter and on my channel. We'll be back next Friday, same time, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. So until then, have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for Julia and the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.